So, can I ask you a question? Like, be honest with you for a second. How much money have you made in the past 3 years? Well, let's say 5 years. And where is it? Like, not what you made, not what you earned, not your revenue. Like, where's the money? Like, where is it right now? And what do you have to show for it? Because, see, I used to be the guy helping other people answer that question. And at times I still do. But I spent over a decade now, in the financial service sector, helping clients build wealth, making millions of dollars in a year, a month, some of them even in a single day. Held some of the strategies, ran the numbers, checked the data, did the SWOT analyses. I knew exactly what to do, but I still almost lost my house. And it wasn't because I didn't know enough. It was because I was listening to the wrong information. And here's what rock bottom taught me that no coach or consultant ever could. The answer was never in a program or a course in a mentorship. It was never in a new strategy. It was literally in a book that's been sitting on your shelf and my shelf the whole time. One verse, literally, 2,000 years ago. And it'll transform your bank account and your business if you would finally pay attention to it. Well, in this video, we're going to do exactly that. I'm going to go over the one scripture that will transform your bank account and your business if you just apply it. Welcome to the Perspective Pause. You don't need a new sale. You don't need a new business. You don't need a new life. You just need a new lens. Let's get into this, right? What you're going to learn today is going to be the lies that you continue to tell yourself that are holding you back from growing your business and your bank account. And then we're also going to go into the 3 simple steps to fix the problem so you'll never have to deal with this again. But before we get into it, let me tell you exactly what is the most important thing that you need to hear. It's that more money will not solve your money problem. Because here's the thing, there's been times that you've had money, there's been times that you've made more money, but you still have the same problem. It's coming in, but it's also going right back out. You see, a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, people that even work 9 to 5s and have a side hustle, they bring in revenue, but it's not how much you make. What's important is how much you get to keep. And the 3 steps today are going to show you something. When you hear the second step, it's probably going to transform your whole mind. And all I ask for you to do is if you get any value from this video today, to share it with somebody, because this is a channel that is just growing. We've been here for a few months now, and the algorithm hasn't picked up for it to show just about everybody that needs to see it yet. But there's somebody that you probably know that might be having some financial dilemmas, or maybe they believe that more money will solve their money problem and they're focusing on more leads or focusing on more sales or focusing on just how can I make more money when they're not focused on what they've already done with the money they've had. And this isn't theory, right? This isn't just a motivational speech or video. Like everything I'm going to talk about today and teach you has been learned through my fire, my pain, through a possible, eviction, through my business, from almost a foreclosure, rock bottom multiple times. And these are hitting places that I thought that I never hit, but I was so focused on making more money that my mindset was truly the real problem. And I'm just here to tell you, you don't need a new business. You just need a new lens on the business that you already have. And that scripture that's in the Bible is Luke chapter 16, verse number 10, right? And I'm going to go ahead and read the ESV version. Actually, I'll read 3 different versions because I know a lot of people read 3 different Bibles, right? Or maybe even more. So Luke 16:10 in the English Standard Version says, "One who is faithful in a very little is also faithful in much. And the one who is dishonest in very little is also dishonest in much. Now, the NLT says, if you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful in large ones. But if you are dishonest in the little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. And then the King James Version says, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is in unjust in the least is unjust also in much. All right, so let's just break this out, right? So 3 words: faithful, little, much. Faithful, little, much. It's pretty much stating that you're not going to see any further success if you don't change the habits that you have with the success you already have in your hands. See, the problem isn't that you're not successful enough yet. The problem is that you don't see that you already are. You don't see that you're successful already, right? And the challenge that most people have is that they look at the one thing that they don't have versus taking a look and paying attention to all of the things that they actually do have, right? And so what's interesting about this is that we tend to think that the solutions to our problems are actually something that we don't already have. We think about the solutions to our problems are something that we probably have to do something different, or not something different. We have to do more of what we're already doing to achieve our goal, right? And if you continue to do more of what's not working, it's not going to automatically start working. Like if you just think that I got to work harder on something that isn't getting me to my goal, well, that isn't going to automatically get you to your goal. It's not working. And here's the thing, right? Your bank account is not a money problem. It's a faithfulness report. And right now it's telling the truth about whether you're ready to hear it or not, right? And I don't want you to skip the second half of the verse, right? He that is dishonest in the least is dishonest in much. That's the part that really nobody really kind of addresses. It's always the man that's faithful with little will be faithful with much. But if you're dishonest in the least, you'll be dishonest with much. And more money doesn't change your habits. It reveals them. Right? It's kind of like your circumstances don't define you. They just reveal you to yourself. The money that you have does not define you. It just reveals you to yourself. How you spend your money. Your habits are going to be a core reflection of who you truly are. And the same patterns that are draining you at this level are going to drain you faster at the next one, unless something literally changes now. But after watching this video and applying what you learn in this video, you're going to make those changes. So I'll try to make sure this video isn't that long. We'll kind of jump into it. But I just want to let you know that for me personally, rock bottom, and you may be going through a similar time where maybe you're doing okay, but not as good as you want to. And by you just thinking that another sale or another transaction is going to solve everything, you're actually starting to feel like it's getting more difficult. And for me personally, rock bottom, it didn't break me. It just showed me what I was actually building with. And I was building with a foundation that just wasn't faithful. So God let me feel it so he could fix it. That's what I would say, right? God let me feel the foundation that I built, so then that way I could start being faithful with little, right? Because if we don't have faith, we don't have anything. So what are we being faithful with right now, right? So research says that the Federal Reserve in 2023 said that 57% of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency expense. That's not lower class. That's 57% of Americans. Is that lower class? I don't know. You tell me. But 57% of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency expense? That's incredible. That's more than half. And nearly 60% of people, according to CNBC and Charles Schwab, nearly 60% of people earning $100,000 per year are still living paycheck to paycheck. I know people personally that make $1 million in a month and they're still living check to check, because it's not about the money that you make. It's about the habits that you create. It's not about the money that you make. It's about the habits that you create. So 6 figures, unfaithful with little, still unfaithful with much. Come on, y'all. Remember, Luke 16:10 is where you're going to refer back to. So the National Endowment for Financial Education, says that 70% of lottery winners file for bankruptcy within 5 years. They received the much, but their character wasn't ready for it. So if 70% of lottery winners file for bankruptcy within 5 years, what does that tell you? It tells you that more money won't solve your money problems. What are you doing with what you have now? You know, I was doing a presentation with my kids, and I was showing them that if you had $1 in the stock market and you made 10% on that dollar, how much did you make? And they were like, 10 cents. And then I said, that's pretty good, right? And they're like, that doesn't sound like much. But think about it like this. If you have $100,000 and you have 10%, what is that? Well, that's $10,000. What does that sound like? Well, that sounds like a lot. That's a better bet. So when I get $100,000, I'll start investing. No, it's not about what you do based on how much you think you'll get back. It's not about the money. It's about the habit. It's about the principle. It's about the percentage. 10% is 10%, whether it's 10 cents or 10 million. It's all 10% of something. So until you actually start taking your money and allowing it to work for you, it never will. You have to hire the employee. You have to have your money work for you, because if a dollar's not really moving then and grooving, that dollar is losing. And so it's the habit and the mindset that needs to be fixed. So if you take $1 and you get to 10 cents, well, now that dollar is starting to grow. And now invest another $1. Before you know, you got $10. Now it's turning into $1. So it's the habit and the principle, right? So it's crazy how people think when they get something, they'll actually be somewhere. But you have to be somebody to get somewhere. So good, man. 82. So the U.S. bank study said 82% of small businesses fail due to poor cash flow management. I want you to hear that again, right? 82% of small businesses fail due to poor cash flow management. That's not bad products. It's not bad services. It's not bad marketing or the economy, right? It's the money showed up. The stewardship did it, right? The money showed up, but there wasn't a plan for it. And if there was a plan, maybe the habits weren't in place to actually fulfill the plan. So 82% of small businesses fail due to poor cash flow management. And why is that? Because I'll get into that in a little bit, but I'll get into that too a little bit. But think about that, right? 82% of small businesses fail because of poor cash flow management. U.S. Bank and Score said that 79% of failed businesses had no system for allocating incoming revenue. Like when money came in, they had no system, no structure, multiple bank accounts. When the money came in, it just went to one place. They literally scaled income, but didn't scale discipline. But there wasn't anything to be disciplined to, because they didn't even put a plan in place. And we all know if you're, failing to plan, you're planning to fail. And there was something called the Stanford Marshmallow Study, right? You may have heard of this, right? Back in 1972 about the marshmallows with the kids. And this study, they had it where children, they practiced delayed gratification. And children who delayed gratification had significantly better financial outcomes, health, and life success decades later. So what's wild is, like, when they did this study back in 1972, it was a study where they said, hey, if you can hold down on eating this marshmallow that's in front of you, I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 marshmallows. And that was 1972. What's interesting is they went back and did a study again later on, and they found out the kids that went through that study actually ended up having better financial outcomes, better health, and more success in their life. And it's like what we don't know could be the most expensive thing in our life. I always like to say that the biggest expense in life is not your mortgage. It's not your student loan. It's not your car loan. It's not your child support. The biggest expense in life is the information that you just don't know during the time in which you needed to know it the most. Not knowing can cost you absolutely everything. But not even just not knowing, but not applying, right? Because most people do know what to do, they just don't apply it. But you're not most people. You're going to take action, right? If you're watching this right now, drop some rockets in the chat if you're going to take action. I know you will. Let's go, because you're an action taker. That's why you're here. And every one of these studies that we just talked about, right, is modern proof of an ancient verse that the Bible, it didn't need the research, right? The research literally needed the Bible. So Warren Buffett, what's Warren Buffett said? He says, do not save what's left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. That's something that Warren Buffett always talks about, right? I'm sorry. That was Mike, I forget how to say his last name, from Profit First. But yeah, that's what he said. He said that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. That's straight out of Profit First, which is something that we implement in our businesses and with all of our clients and customers. But Warren Buffett is describing stewardship, right? And Mike from Profit First is describing allocation. Both of them are describing Luke 16:10. They just don't cite the source. They are the resource, but the Bible is the source. So let me get into the two lies, right, that you can't continue to buy. It's costing you way too much. And one of them is that more money will solve your money problems. So on this Perspective Pause channel, we like to talk about old lenses and new lenses, right? Because a lot of people are looking at life through an old lens. And then we just want to show you the new lens to look through life so you can start to see that you don't need a new life. You just need a new lens, right? And the old lens is kind of saying that I just need more. I need a better month, a better week. I need to make more sales, need more leads. Maybe I need to raise my prices. Maybe I need to create a bigger offer. I need a bigger client. I need just that one big break, and then I'll be okay. And I need you to do something in your mind, right? Well, before I do that, let me just tell you this. The way that I used to think was that if I created a larger offer and I made more money in one shot, right, then I would be able to have some money left over to be of an emergency fund in that moment, right? So it's like, hey, if I was selling something for $25,000, now when we increase our prices to $50,000, now I'll have extra money. So that's how I used to look at it, right? And what's interesting is that I would make the offer, I would sell the offer, but to be honest with you, was that even ethical? Was that even ethical? We're raising the price on something to be able to satisfy the needs that I have for myself. And this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs are being taught how to do. It's like create an offer that's actually in direct correlation with the lifestyle that you want to live. It's not really positioned to the value, it's perceived value that you create because you have great communication skills and you can persuade somebody to believe that it's worth that much. Now, granted, I get it. Like some people will say, if I can make you $100, then I can sell you something for $1. That would make sense, right? If I can make you $1 million, then I can sell you something for $100,000. That would make sense, right? You would trade that, right? Like if I said, here, I'm going to give you a $10 bill. If you give me $1, that would be a good deal for you, right? Well, that's how some people run their businesses, right? But it's, even though if you do that, when you make the money, it's not about how much you make, it's how much you get to keep, and it's about the habit that you do with what you just received. And I need you to do something right now, though, in your mind, because we're going to solve this problem, right? I need you to, just in your mind, right? You don't have to do it like tangibly right now. Pull up your bank account. Not today, but go back, right? Like the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months. And you can't really see that, though, in your mind, can you? And there was a reason I said that, is because a lot of the time we try to fix the problem in our mind, but we have to, adjust our focus. I have something called the focus framework, and the F stands for find your fingers, find your toes, where you snap your fingers and you wiggle your toes. The moment that you find yourself trying to create a solution that's in your mind immediately, then you're going into emotions instead of logic. So we need to get out of our head, or else we're going to be dead. Like Tony Robbins says, right? If you stay in your head, you're going to be dead. What I need you to do is find your fingers, find your toes, get out of your head. You're not going to solve this problem in your head. You need to literally print out your bank statement and go through it line by line and see who you really are. You need to make it painful enough to be productive. And that's the problem. Like, too many of us, we read information, we watch a YouTube video, we get a coach or somebody and they give us information, and then they just kind of allow us to go do what we think they're going to do. But then if they don't get results, who's to blame? So what I want to tell you is that I really truly believe that when it comes down to coaching, we need to make sure that we're in a position to where we're actually making others feel uncomfortable, right? It's what I do with my clients. I make them feel uncomfortable. But if you don't have a coach right now, let this be your coach. Coach yourself, right? I need you to make this painful enough to be productive. So when you print out your bank statement, right? Were there months that more money came in? Like, did you have a great month? Did you have a good month? Like, what was your best month that you had? What was your biggest client that you had? Because you thought that was the one that was going to fix your problem. And this is what fixes it, right? Well, what happened next? What happened after you made that money and had that great month? What happened? Where'd the money go? Like, let's be honest. Where did it all go? It didn't fix the problem. You said more money would solve your money problems before, and you made more money, but you don't have anything to show for it now. Because the problem was never the amount of money. Jesus said it. He that is dishonest in the least is dishonest in much. The pattern doesn't change with the deposit. It changes with the decision. You made more money before, but you didn't make enough to solve the problem because you still have the problem. But you still don't have the money. You don't have the money still. And that's the problem. It's not about making it. It's about what are you doing with what you already had. That's going to show you your problem, right? And I spent a decade helping other people build wealth. I mean, I knew the strategies. I ran the numbers, and I still sat in a house that I was about to lose. Like, my home was going into foreclosure. Although I had all of this financial advice, I had all the experience, I was helping other people win. But why is that? Because I kept thinking that if I made more money, my problems would just solve themselves. But because I wasn't being faithful with what I already had, that was the rock bottom. It allowed me to realize my problem. And I want to talk to the entrepreneurs specifically that you hear the people say, I made $1 million in revenue, right? I got the 2 Comma Club award. I got the $1 million in a day award, right? Everybody claps, right? But after operating costs, payroll, taxes, marketing, ads, equipment, what's left? Like, what was really left? What's sitting in the untouchable account? Because $1 million with 900,000 out doesn't make you a millionaire. Like because $1 million made doesn't make you $1 million. I'm sorry, $1 million made doesn't make you a millionaire. It just makes you busy. Like, it makes you somebody that was busy during that time. So let me reframe this, right? Like the person that achieved all the awards, right? There's clients that we've had that have achieved $1 million in a day. But after all of the expenses, they maybe net somewhere around $80,000. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad day. But that's not what's being promoted. I made $80,000 in a day. They're saying I made $1 million in a day. That's what they made. But how much did you really keep? Like, how much did you get to spend? And not only that, how much do you still have? Because the lifestyle that you're trying to fulfill is costing you so much that you're in a rat race doing everything you can to try to convince yourself that you're doing better than you actually are. And just because you make $1 million in a month, in a day, doesn't mean that you may not still live check to check. Because after expenses, because even out of that $80,000 that's left, you still have to pay taxes on the $1 million. And how much is that? I mean, yeah, you could probably go ahead and write off a lot of the, the things that were included in generating the revenue, but there's probably still going to be some taxes that need to be paid. And God isn't impressed by busy. He's impressed by faithful. So what are you doing with the little will be determined what you do in a lot. And if you're faithful in little things, you will be faithful in the large ones. So the new lens would say, the amount of money I have is not my problem. My faithfulness with what I already have is. The amount of money that I have is not my problem. Like the amount of money that I have come in, right, is not my problem. My faithfulness with what I already have is. That's the only problem that's even worth solving. You're not waiting on God to give you more. God is waiting on you to be faithful for what he already gave you. Why should you even receive more if you're not being faithful to what's already been given to you? And I just want to add this second lie in here. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it's something I see all the time because this one feels righteous, but that's what makes it pretty dangerous, right? Is that buying something will make me happy and I deserve it. Buying something will make me happy and I deserve it. Pretty much saying like delayed gratification is not that important, right? Because if I want something, I will just buy it. And feeling better in that moment may seem like success, but it's not being faithful with what you have, because are you making the right decisions with what you currently have that will cause you to then delay off what you actually want, or are you just never going to put the money to work, right? So, because I always like to say, if you think that purchasing something or buying something is actually going to make you happy, that's the clear sign that it never will. I really want you to take that down, right? Is that if you think that purchasing something, buying something, or, achieving something is going to actually bring happiness to your life, that's a clear sign that it never will. So the moment you feel that, you need to stop, find your fingers, find your toes, and say, you know what? In a couple of weeks, in a month from now, I'm going to just be repeating this pattern. And then I'm going to look back at my bank account and see all the things that I bought that I thought would make me happy, but I'm still not happy at all. Because it's an addiction of just feeding an immediate feeling and allowing your feelings to feel like they're actually facts. But they're not. It's just you're giving into the thoughts that keep convincing you that more stuff is going to be more happiness. But I'll be honest with you, the most successful people that I know, they don't have the most things. They make the most out of what they already have. And they're disciplined. I'll say this. Ecclesiastes 5:19 says, God gives us the ability to enjoy the fruits of our labor. That's real. But there's a difference between enjoying the fruit and consuming the seed. And most people, they're eating the seed and then wondering why nothing grew. The Journal of Consumer Psychology said that retail therapy produces immediate and emotional relief, but the effect lasts an average of 20 minutes before guilt, anxiety, and emptiness starts to return. You didn't buy peace, you borrowed it, and the interest is your future. So if you're buying the thing, you're buying the feeling you think the thing is going to give you. That's if you know sales, then you could sit on the other side of the fence and understand that, right? You're not buying the hammer. You're not buying the picture on the wall. You're buying the feeling of sitting back in your chair and seeing the picture of whatever that picture is, right? So it's like, that's what you're buying when you go buy something. If you go buy a new item at the mall, you're buying the feeling that you believe that feeling is going to give you from buying that thing. It has nothing to do with the thing. It has everything to do with the actual feeling. And now you're a slave, not to a person, but to a pattern, because every single purchase creates the need for the next one. You're back on the wheel and you're continuing to buy the lie that you can't continue to afford. Because now you're working harder, you're saying, I got to work more, I got to do more, and you're spending more and needing more. That's not a blessing. That's bondage. And more income just makes that wheel spin faster and cause you to stay on edge. Because now you're just feeding a feeling. And feelings aren't facts. Stop feeding the feeling that's not a fact. I was watching my nephew yesterday and for an hour, and my mom asked me to watch him just for about an hour. And he came over, and I was like, what can I do with him for an hour, right? And I'm always thinking about teaching the kids. He's actually, he's 6 years old. So I was like, hey, let's do something. And we grabbed some peanuts. We went in the backyard, and there's a little spot on this palm tree that I have where I put some of the peanuts up there, and the squirrels will come, sometimes blue jays, woodpeckers, or whatever, right? But mostly squirrels will come. And I told him, I said, hey, would you like to feed the squirrels? And he's like, yeah, let's feed the squirrels. That'd be cool. I said, all right, cool. Grab these peanuts. So we went out back. We put the peanuts on the palm tree, on the little ridges where the palm tree was. And we came back inside, and right by this area here, I got a window in my backyard. And he's sitting down, and he's looking out, and he's like, where's the squirrels? And I was like, they're coming. Don't worry. He's like, I've been sitting here for 15 hours. And I'm like, dude, it's not been 15 hours. He's like, yeah, it's been a long time. I'm like, I understand. I said, but listen, do you want to see the squirrels come? And he's like, yes. And I said, then we have to be patient. This is called delayed gratification, right? And I said, can you say delayed gratification? He was like, delayed gratification, right? But anyway, long story short is that he sat there for about 15 minutes and he waited. And when the squirrel came, he was like, oh my God, the squirrel is coming. Look down, the squirrel's coming, right? And when the squirrel came down the tree, it went ahead and grabbed the peanut that he left actually in a spot that he said was a hidden little secret spot. Anyway, but he saw the squirrel grab the peanut. And after the squirrel grabbed the peanut, he was like, wow. And I was like, was that worth waiting for? And he was like, yeah. I said, if you didn't sit here waiting to see that, what would have happened? He's like, I would have missed it. And so he was learning that once you do something, you have to wait. You can't just plant a seed and the tree grows, right? You have to sit and be patient. It's kind of like fishing, right? But anyway, I'm saying all that to say that like experiences produce significantly more lasting happiness than material purchases. You're spending on the wrong things, even when you can't afford to spend. And one of the rules that I have is that, well, I'm going to get into them right now, without any further ado. But the new lens, what I want you to say is that I want you to say to yourself, I don't need to consume something to feel blessed. I need to steward something so I can actually become a blessing. You don't need a better product, service. You need a better mindset, right? A new perspective. So these are the 3 steps that are going to help you fix this problem, and you're going to transform your bank account and your business, all because of the scripture, if we follow it, right? So these 3 steps are this, right? Step number 1 is face the record. Face the record, right? And what I mean by that is like taking a look at what's going on, right? Like in the Bible, it says, know well the condition of your flocks, give careful attention to your herds. God told the shepherd, know what's in your care. It's pretty much saying, pull your last 6 months of your bank statements and don't hide from the painful months. And the patterns that you see are the actual proof. Every single dollar that came in, where did it go within 48 hours? You can't fix what you don't face. And if you cannot be faithful, you, you can't be faithful to what you would refuse to examine, what you will refuse to be accountable to, right? I mean, the real question is this: do you want to finally gain control of your life or not? Then you're going to have to do something differently, because doing more of what's not working isn't going to automatically start working. I keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it because it's the absolute truth and it's a principle. You just don't want to look at yourself in the mirror and know that you are the problem. But hey, guess what? Put your blinders on, drop the ego, and say, you know what? If I'm the problem, I could also be the solution. Because when you see the patterns that you put in place, you get to fix them. You get to fix them. Yeah, it's a little painful. You may see how much money you actually just bought because of a feeling, all the things that you just purchased, but you're still now sitting here having to figure out how to work more for those things. And then a lot of people use the excuse and say, well, I work hard, I want to play hard. Well, do you want to feel like you got to work hard your whole life? You know, do you want to be a slave to the things that you have now? Or do you want to have some financial freedom later? It was Proverbs 27:23 that says, know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds. Pay attention to what you have. Step 2, this is the most powerful thing that you can do as an entrepreneur or a business owner, is shift your mindset from, hey, I got my own business and every dollar that comes in is mine, to actually start becoming an employer of your own business. Not becoming an employer, you are an employee. The biggest mindset shift that you can have as a business owner right now to be successful and not be ending up in that, I believe it was 87% of businesses that fail because of poor cash management, is when you understand the truth, which is that you're an employee to your own business. You're an employee of your own business. It's like Luke 16:10 is talking about profit first. You know, the moment that revenue hits, you have to allocate it before you touch it. And this doesn't even have to be for you as a business owner. You know, you could create the buckets as an employee. If you want to create the mindset, like if you start really looking at yourself like you are your own CEO of your own life and start managing your money, like even if you're a W-2 employee, if you get your W-2 check, you could start to put money in different buckets and say, you know what, I'm going to pay myself a certain percentage, and then the rest is going to other places. Now, just like a business owner would say, hey, I either need to get more clients or I need to raise my prices, you need to ask yourself where you're working right now and say, you know what, am I getting paid enough? Do I need to find another job? Do I need to work somewhere else? Do I need to take on something else to generate more revenue? Because if you're accepting all of the money that's coming in, but you're not saving anything for the future, then you're continuously eating the seed. You have to set percentages for operating costs, profit, taxes, and salary in that order. Profit, taxes, and salary. Automate it, separate the accounts. I mean, this is systematized faithfulness, right? And this is how you stop being the first hole in the bucket, in your own bucket. And I wish I had done this before the bank called me about my house and said that I was going to foreclose on my home. But it made me change. And sometimes you have to go through some things to get to some things. Sometimes you actually have to go through the moments that help you become the person that's going to be humble and faithful enough for what's happening. But the question is this: have you already gone through something that you should know this by now? Well, hopefully this video could be a wake-up call. Don't wait for a rock bottom to lose your business, lose your family, lose your home, lose your car, lose your mind, to teach you what the word already said. The man that is faithful with little will be faithful with much. And step 3, the final step, is practice the 72-hour fast before any emotional purchase. It's like Proverbs 21:5. You can reflect there, right? Before any non-essential purchase. Wait 72 hours. Most of the time, the feeling will pass because it wasn't really something that you needed. It was just an emotion that you were feeding. It wasn't something that you were needing. It was just an emotion that you were feeding. And when the 22 hours are up and you still want it, then you can ask yourself a question. Can I buy 5 of these and still be okay? Because the last thing you need to do is buy something that's going to put you in a financial crisis or a place of survival mode to where now you're going to be even in a more emotional state of thinking about how you need to generate more money because of an emotional decision of buying something that you couldn't even afford. You think that you can afford it when you can buy one. No. Reframe, retrain your brain to say, I can afford this when I can buy 5. And that's the shift from consumer to investor mindset, and from spending your life from spending your life to building one, from literally spending your life to building one, and from eating the seed to actually planting it. Proverbs 21:5 says, the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. So here's where we're going to say land the plane, right? The Bible gave us a financial framework that no MBA program, no business coach, consultant course, or any guru is going to teach you, right? Jesus gave it to us in one sentence in Luke 16:10. And it's been sitting in your Bible the whole time waiting on you to stop skimming it and start living it. Come on now. You need to start reading the Bible and actually applying it, not reading the Bible and doing the opposite. Because your life isn't going to change until you start changing. The Bible's not going to work unless you work it. You could read it all day. You could meditate on the word. But if you're not applying it, then you're not really changing. So the whole purpose of this video is to help you see that you don't need more money. You need a better mindset, right? And all I could say is this, is the 3 steps to fixing the problem work, but you have to work it. And if you're going to make excuses right now to not apply those things, then you can't continue to make the complaints that you've been making of why your life is the way it is. You're designing your life. Now, I understand everybody makes mistakes. But there's a difference between mistakes and choices. You are choosing, or you're deciding to do things the wrong way when you've been taught the right way. The things that I gave you in this video are going to change your life if you apply them. It's not the videos that you watch. It's the clips that you apply. Because there's clips from this video that if you take them out, whether it's waiting 72 hours to make an emotional decision on a purchase, pulling out your last 6 months and finally seeing exactly who you are. Those are going to be the things that are going to change your life. So when you think about making more money, it's not about making more money. It's about being faithful with the money that you already have. You heard the 2 lies today, right? More money is going to fix the problem. No, it's not. Or you'll just give your habits more room to breathe, and you're going to, and buying something is going to make you happy. Come on now, it's not. Are you happy now? Then the things that you bought before, if it didn't fix it, pay attention. It's just going to borrow a feeling for 20 minutes that's going to cost you your next 20 years. You got 3 steps. Face the record. Look at your bank account. Become an employee of your business, or become the CEO of your own life, and practice that 72-hour emotional spending fast. These aren't complicated. They're just faithful. And faithful is all he asks for. I almost lost my house. I've helped clients make millions. I've hit floors and ceilings that I never even knew existed. And what pulled me out of some of the lowest points of my life and helped me finally see success, finally start to look at life completely different and see the fruits of my labor, it wasn't another strategy, and it definitely wasn't another coach or consultant. It was the moment I stopped reading the Bible and started applying it instead. I stopped reading Luke 16:10 as if it was just a Sunday verse, and I looked at it like something I need to apply Monday through Saturday. It's almost like, think about the scriptures in the Bible. They're not scriptures for you to read and feel good. They're actually operating systems and principles that will transform your life and your bank account and your business if you just apply them. You're not a victim of your income. Your circumstances don't define you. How much money you make doesn't define you. It only just reveals who you are to yourself. You are a product of your stewardship. You don't need to fix your product. You need to fix your faithfulness. And the much will follow. I mean, it is. It really will. And that's not a motivational line, y'all. Like that's a promise from the word. That's a promise from the Bible. So all I can tell you is this. You don't need a new life. You need a new lens. And the lens is Luke 16:10. So I pray to God that you took some notes today. But not only did you take some notes today, you're going to take action with those things. Because like I always say, you could be either building up your bookshelf or you could be building up your business. You could either be focusing on shelf development or you could be focused on self-development. Which one are you focused on today? The question is completely up to you. You know exactly what you need to do. The question is, are you willing to be faithful enough to do it? I pray that you do. And I pray that this video got you some value today. Please share this with somebody that you know needs to see this. And I'll see y'all next week. Take ownership, take action, take off. God bless y'all. Peace.